The sky hadn't fully broken into light yet, but the mist was beginning to rise above the dense canopy of Myanmar's jungle. A Southeast Asian man was quietly making his way along a narrow, muddy trail. His name was Lim. Lim had tanned skin, short black hair, and a faint scar across his left cheek. He wore a weathered green ranger uniform faded from sun and time. A canvas field bag hung across his shoulder, packed with medical supplies and an old notebook. His boots, soaked in mud, pressed steadily into the earth. He didn't speak much, but those who had walked beside him knew. Lim listened to the forest. He could hear the break of branches under heavy paws, the slither of a snake on rotting leaves, the subtle rustle of birds before the dawn. This was day 13 of his trek. Not for duty, but for a whisper of a message. A baby elephant, injured and lost in a forbidden zone. Tigers roam there. So do landslides. No one goes in. But Lim didn't hesitate. He packed what he needed: binoculars, bandages, and a faded piece of cloth, a remnant from the calf's mother, the only thing left after last year's devastating drought. The air was cold and damp, but Lim pressed forward. His boots dragged through thick soil, but his steps never slowed. And then, suddenly, a sound. Faint, cracked, like a child calling for help. Lim stopped. He turned his head, listened, then moved. Faster now. And there, beneath a tree split in half by lightning, a small, mud-covered creature, shivering in fear and cold. Lim slowed down. He didn't want to startle the little creature under the scorched tree. It was a baby elephant, barely a few months old. Its small body was caked in mud, eyes red and swollen from crying. Its ears hung low, its rear leg badly swollen. Lim crouched low, still keeping his distance. He reached into his canvas bag and pulled out a familiar cloth, a piece from the mother's ID collar. He placed it gently on the ground, nudging it forward. The breeze carried its scent. The calf's ears twitched, recognition. It sniffed cautiously, then let out a faint, trembling sound somewhere between a cry and a plea. Lim's heart sank. In its eyes, he saw pain, fear, but also something else, hope. He didn't approach. He waited, letting trust grow in the silence between them. And then, after what felt like forever, the calf stepped forward. Just one step. But it changed everything. The forest was warming. The first rays of sun filtered through the canopy, gently touching the mud-streaked body of the baby elephant. Lim exhaled slowly, as if any sound might shatter the fragile trust forming between them. He reached into his field bag, pulled out a small syringe, a mild painkiller he had brought just in case. He didn't rush. Every move was careful, deliberate. The calf still watched him, eyes wide with fear, but no longer retreating. Lim stepped forward half a pace. The calf shuddered, but stayed. He knelt, placed his hand gently on the rough, cold skin of its side. It was trembling, thin, so very young. Lim took out a cloth, wiping away the mud around the injured leg. He administered the injection just above the swelling, then retreated a few steps, giving the creature space, giving it choice. A soft sound escaped the elephant's throat, not a cry, but a whisper of trust. And then it lay down, breathing heavily, its head resting gently against the shattered tree trunk. Lim remained nearby. The morning light spilled across his shoulders and the little body beside him. Two beings in the wilderness, alone, but not lost anymore. Hours passed. Lim remained seated, never straying far from the calf. As the sun climbed higher, he pulled out a small water canteen, poured some into a shallow metal lid, and slid it gently forward. The calf sniffed, cautious. Its trunk hovered, then touched the water, and drank. It was the first time it had accepted something from a human. Lim smiled. He said nothing. He simply took out his notebook and recorded the moment, as if every detail of this small life deserved to be preserved. By afternoon, he erected a simple tarp shelter beside the tree. Night would be cold, and tigers might come. He gathered branches and lit a small fire, always keeping himself between the flames and the calf. He didn't sleep. He couldn't. As the fire crackled softly through the growing dusk, another sound broke the silence. Not the calf. Footsteps, heavy, deliberate, echoing through the forest floor. Then a shadow appeared, massive, slow, emerging from the mist. It was a mother elephant, enormous, steady, and scarred. Her left ear was torn. Her leg bore a dried wound, but her eyes, when they met Lim's, held no rage, only exhaustion. Lim stood slowly. He didn't flinch, didn't stare, just raised his hand. A silent greeting. The mother let out a low, guttural rumble. A call. The baby jerked upright, squealed in response. It limped awkwardly toward her, then collapsed into her chest. She wrapped her trunk around it, trembling. Lim looked away and smiled. Lim quietly packed his shelter, doused the fire, didn't speak. The mother and calf stood side by side. Then the mother turned, looked at him, not as a threat, but as if to say, "Thank you." Lim bowed his head. No words, no touch, just respect. Then he walked away. The jungle would remain dangerous, but today, a life had been saved, and that was enough. 3 days later, Lim returned, not for duty, just to be sure. He found tracks, big and small, side by side. No blood, no signs of struggle. They led toward a safer part of the jungle, where water flowed and trees offered shade. Lim stopped there. On a rock, a dry branch had been snapped and laid deliberately in an X, a ranger's code he had taught others. A message. "We're okay." Lim smiled and walked on. That evening, back at the outpost, Lim opened his notebook. He didn't just log events, he told a story, one without glory, only silence and care. He wrote until nightfall, then closed the book, looked out toward the distant trees. He saw nothing, but he knew. Life was still moving out there. If this story touched your heart, please leave a like, share it with someone who needs it, and let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the next emotional and inspiring stories coming soon.